Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This video is going to be talking about whether or not I think Andrea should have died in The Walking Dead Season 3 finale. Oh yeah, spoilers. You know, it's over. I waited over a week, okay? For anybody who's worried about, just stop it with a spoiler. Oh, spoilers. If you don't know by now and you're on the internet and you follow Walking Dead stuff, just get the hell out of here. I've even waited until dudes in the UK could see it live, see it live be shown on TV. So at this point, I don't consider it spoilers. I gotta talk about it sooner or later. I've waited a week, so it's long enough. I think it's out of spoiler territory, and it's time. So let's talk about it. You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want, but you must try, try and try. All right, for those of you who have no idea what that was all about, I'm going to do you a big favor right now. Just go ahead and click in the description, click the first link, pause this video, go watch it, laugh yourself just for half an hour, and then come on back and watch the rest of this video. So I had to do this sooner or later. I had to mention it. People are like sending me private messages like, have you seen this yet? This is awesome. But of course I've seen it. Are you kidding? You really expect me to not be that nerdy? So anyway, enjoy the heck out of that. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So how did I feel about the Andrea death? I told you guys I was going to do a video dedicated just to it. And, what I thought about it, how it all played out in my mind, my opinion on it. So I'm going to give it to you guys. I'm going to give you my opinion, how I felt about the Andrea death. Well, I've touched on a little bit in my reviews, and that is that overall, after thinking about it a little bit, I actually didn't like the death in the finale. I actually felt like the finale would have been better without it. It would have kind of been weird if, because when it happened, right, and they closed the door and everything like that, or they zoom out after you hear it and stuff, when you hear it, you're like, holy shit, Andrea just got bitten. She must have. She had to have, based on the scream and everything like that. Because you would think that maybe she could have stabbed him and screamed at the same time or something in the head, but it was just such the type of scream that you knew it was a painful type scream, so that she had been she had gotten bitten, or she had been bitten, so you knew that at that point. Just a painful scream. So that was, that was pretty exciting to see how it all played out, because you're dying to see at the end of the episode what happened with her. Is she alive? Is she dead? It could have gone either way, really, because you can't tell just based on the scream by itself, even though it does sound like a really, really painful scream. That also, could Milton as a walker have killed her? Well, okay. She didn't have enough time to really react, because she was just able to get the second pair of cuffs off as he was coming at her. And he was a fresh bitten walker, meaning that he had not decayed at all in any way, shape, or form. Not that he was that tough to begin with, or big, or weigh that much, or anything like that, because some walkers are harder to take out than others. You could get, some huge 250-pound walker that would be really tough to take out, versus some really skinny, decayed walker that can barely move. So it does depend. If you think of it that way, you start to realize that, not every walker is equal. Some are more harder to take out than others. If you have one like him who's just turned, and his body is still in pretty good shape, aside from the stab wound to the guts, so his guts may have kind of spilled out as he was coming at her type thing. Which would have been gross too. Which would have added to it, made it even more difficult. But, his muscles and stuff have not started to really atrophy all that much yet, because it's so soon. So, yeah. Now, that being said, so I think it does make sense that she probably wouldn't be able to. Plus, we don't know what she, in terms of how she had been eating before that. The governor obviously keeping her there, kind of like torturing her. From the blood, we could see that he was. She obviously malnourished, of course, I would like to think, barely able to probably defend herself in any way, shape, or form. So logically, it does make sense that she would die at that point, I guess, I guess you could say. Plus, it makes for a pretty cool, I thought the line from the governor was pretty cool, where he's like, talking to Milton, he says, you kill or you die, or you die, and then you kill. And he closes the door. So that was a pretty good line. And you know, you think about it for a second, it's like, that's pretty brilliant. I like that. So that was all good. And she did have a lot of scenes in season 3. In the first 2 seasons, she had a little bit there with Amy at the beginning. You know, the scenes with that, the fishing and all that stuff. Meeting Rick. So she had some good scenes, I'd say, out of all the characters we had. A good amount of time. Season 2, she kind of took a back seat. She got the RV kill and the RV walker. Going through the season, she had you know, a little party with Shane in the car and going off with him, doing a little training, you know, the whole Dale thing. I mean, though, aside from that, she wasn't, you know, right at the forefront. Season 3, she was really at the forefront. She was right up there. You know, we got to see a lot of weird things happen with her, a lot of interesting stuff with the governor and her. So I guess it does make sense that at the end of the season you would kill her off and just cap that storyline, and so that we move into a new, you know, like a new governor type story arc that's completely separate. He's still alive, but it's going to be completely new and different from what we had in season 3. Same with Merle being gone as well. You know, him being dead, we can now move into season 4, and it really feels brand new because you don't have those characters as a focal point anymore. So that being said, you know, I felt like there was a lot of things they really could have done with Andrea, and I would have liked to have seen, even though how it played out does make sense. I would have preferred to have them keep her alive. I don't know what you want to, how they could have done it. Maybe if the governor stabbed Milton bad enough in the guts when Milton stood up, maybe they could have done a scene with it. Maybe his body would have just fallen apart. You know what I'm saying? Like his guts would have just been like totally torn. So as soon as he got up and started walking forward, his body would just snap, and then like you know, his top torso would fall down, and then he would just come out. That would have been easier for her to deal with if he was just like in half. You know, I would think, and she probably would have been able to defend herself unless he bit her on the foot or something. So logically, they could have done that too, I guess, and it would have worked out. It's really whether or not they wanted to keep her there. They did have to have some major deaths in the finale because it's a finale. You got to. But I would have probably liked to see some other characters die. Actually, I would say that anybody between Rick's group at the prison, being it Maggie or Beth or Herschel, any of them, I probably would have liked to see die as, you know, a character death more than Andrea, because from the comic book series we see what Andrea, you know, turns into with her marksmanship. You know, it's just really interesting to see and a really cool character to have around. So I would have really liked to have seen that happen in the TV series. However, they want to make it surprising so that none of us can, you know, can really understand what's going to happen. It was pretty mind-blowing when it happened. And it really makes the television series a lot different from the comic book series because we don't want it to be exactly the same. So I guess, you know, one good thing about it is that, you know, if people like the comic book series version of The Walking Dead better because of characters like Andrea surviving longer, you know, cool, I can see why a lot of people might. If people like, you know, the television series better in its version of the story, I can definitely see how they would like that better as well, because certain characters get fleshed out more, certain characters don't last as long. Dale, for example, is a good example of that. He didn't last nearly as long in the TV series as he did in the comic book series. Andrea, another one, didn't last as long, even though she had a lot of focus in season 3. Still, overall, the comic book series, she has more time, more things happen with her. Other characters like Shane is probably better in the TV series. I don't see how anyone could like him better in the comic book series than the TV series. But in other words, certain characters will be handled better in one or the other in, you know, the reader, viewer's opinion. And for me, I like the comic book version of Andrea as a character better than the TV series version. Because the TV series version, you know, she's like a bicycle. She's going with all these different guys. And, you know, I mean, the actress did a great job. Nothing against her. She did a fantastic job. But, you know, in terms of writing and everything, I think they definitely could have done a lot more with her. And kind of a shame to see her get killed off. I would have rather have seen Maggie or Beth or Herschel or one of those other characters get killed off. Or they could have kept T-Dog around for the finale and killed him in the finale, in the shootout, which would have added to the excitement of that shootout. I think that would have been good as well. So there's a lot of other options. And I would have liked to see Andrea join the group again. You know, join Rick's group again and just be part of that and be in season 4 and onward. However, too, you got to think also they probably don't want to keep big name actors, you know, around in the series for too long or have too many of them. You know, if they add on Tyrese and these other actors, they're going to want to downsize some of the other ones that they've had, because for budget reasons they don't want to have too many characters thrown in there to just stand around. You do have to have a lot, but you wouldn't. People are expensive. You wouldn't want to have too many characters in there if they're not important to the plot in the future. So I guess that makes sense. Another reason why the comic book series really differs in creation from the television series. In the television series, you got to pay those people. In the comic book series, they're not real. They're just ink. So if you draw them in the background, who cares? You know, you get Charlie Adler to do it. He does it up, whatever. You know, he can draw some crazy, huge spreads anyway. It's nothing to him because he's used to drawing hundreds of zombies in backgrounds and stuff all the time. So one extra character here or there, what difference does it make? But in the TV series, you got to pay him. So I guess it makes sense. So all in all, I'm saying I didn't like the death. I really didn't. Some deaths I do like, some deaths I don't. I liked Shane's death in retrospect. I didn't like Dale's death. I didn't like Andrea's death. I didn't like T-Dog's death, even though he died a hero. Still, I thought it could have been handled better at a better time. And Laurie's death in that episode was enough by itself. And I did like Merle's death. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say about the should Andrea have died. I say no. I say no. But then again, like I said, you know, they got to keep the budget down, and they got to have at least a death or two in the finale, even though I felt like it might have been one of the worst ones they could have chosen. Yeah, but then again, too, just to add to it, a lot of people didn't like Andrea in the TV series. A lot of people were talking online in the comments and stuff I saw. They're like, she's the second Laurie. You know, she's just like Laurie. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far to say that, but a lot of people did. So that's their opinion. You know, I have my own opinion. They differ in that regard, but you know, that's how it is. So anyway, pretty much all my thoughts on it. Didn't like it overall. Think they could have done more with it. So that's it. Anyway, I'll call it here. For more suggestions, guys, please write them below. I still have lots left, but you know, if you guys have any other new ones, please send them to me. Write them down, get to them eventually. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace, guys.